Today I'm going to be sharing with you a very favorite recipe of mine. This is for an incredible pie made with Concord grapes. If you're not familiar with Concord grapes, they are the grapes that make Welch's grape juice, so you are somewhat familiar with them if you've ever tried Welch's grape juice. They are incredibly sweet, a little bit tangy, with an unbelievable flavor. I was taught this recipe by a dear family friend who used to make it every year for Thanksgiving. I made it for Thanksgiving this year, and I want to share the recipe with you. The one caveat that I should say is that you have to be able to get Concord grapes in order to make it. And Concord grapes, their season is August, late August and September. So what you're gonna need to do next late August or September is find them and freeze them, and you can make this pie perfectly. That's what I did. So stay tuned to see how I make this unbelievably delicious Concord grape pie. So here we go with all of the things that I need to make this unbelievable pie. In this bag here are my Concord grapes. If you are not familiar with Concord grapes, they're actually, if you're familiar with Welch's grape juice, then you know Concord grapes. That's the kind of grape that's used to make Welch's grape juice. They are native to New England, and they're absolutely divine. Unfortunately, they have a short season, which is just sort of in late August and September. But if you can get your hands on some, I highly recommend it. And what I've done is I got them in September and then I froze them. They freeze beautifully, especially for a pie. If you want to eat them fresh, eat them fresh. But the fun thing about Concord grapes, and I'll just do this, is I'll peel one off here. As you can see, it has a skin and an inside, and this inside pops right out of the skin. Some people say the skin is sour and the grape is sweet. I completely disagree. The meat of the grape, to me, is super sour, and the skin and the inside of the skin is the sweetness. So we're gonna be using both parts of this grape to make this pie. They're wonderful. They do have seeds in them, so if you're gonna eat them for a snack, be aware of that. So what I do is I just buy a couple of batches of the Concord grapes, pull as many off the big parts of the stem as possible, pop them in a bag, and freeze them until I'm ready to make them. So the first thing that we're gonna do is get the grapes prepared. So I'm gonna wash them all, which actually I've already done, and then I'm just gonna pinch the skin, just like I did with that one, and I'm gonna put the skins in one bowl, and I'm gonna pop the grapes right in my pot. So let's get started with that. Well, that takes a little while. That's sort of the most labor-intensive part of this dish, is to get all of the grapes out of these skins. So I have the skins separated here. I have all the grapes and all their natural juice right in the pot. And I'm gonna put this on the stove and cook for about 7 minutes. And then I'll show you what we'll do next. But before I do that, I just want to go through the rest of the ingredients for you. I will have the recipe down below in case you are interested in trying this yourself. You're also going to need 1 cup of sugar minus 2 tablespoons from it, which is a strange amount, I know, but you don't want it to be too sweet. You're going to use 1 egg yolk, which I have right here. I think you can see it. And you're going to use 3 tablespoons of flour, 1 cup of sour cream, or you could use yogurt if you prefer, but I like sour cream. We're gonna use the juice, like 1 tablespoon of lemon juice from a lemon. And this over here is my setup for straining the grapes after they're cooked. So let's move on to the next part of getting this ready. All right, I've just put my grapes on the stove under sort of a medium heat, and I'm going to cook them gently for about 7 minutes. So we'll see in about 7 minutes. Okay, it's been about 7 minutes. It smells absolutely amazing, and you can see that some of the seeds are starting to separate, and I'll show you what we're gonna do next with it. Okay, so we are now going to we're gonna pour the cooked grapes in this sieve. Make sure you get every last drop of juice. And I'm gonna push this through the sieve, and we're gonna collect all the delicious juice in there. And what I'm trying to do is separate the pulp from the seeds. Once nothing else is coming out, you can see that this is just seeds at this point with just a tiny bit of things that aren't straining through. Make sure you sort of scrape the bottom. And this is what you're left with, this beautiful, juicy, thick pulp. And what may come as a shock is at this point, we're gonna actually add the skins back to the pulp. Now, like I said before, the skins is where all that sweetness comes from, and beautiful color and amazing flavor. So you've got now the pulp from the meat of the grapes mixed with the skins. This is the basis for your pie. I'm now going to combine the 3 tablespoons of flour in here. The sugar and the lemon juice, and mix it all up. Flour is going to help thicken it just a bit. But the skins and the pulp will also naturally thicken. The sugar and the flour just helps it even more. This is now going to go in our pastry, which I've already prepared. You can pretty much use any pastry you like. This is the one I've prepared. It's your basic pastry. It's very rustic looking, certainly not beautiful by any stretch of the imagination, but it tastes really good, and you can see little flecks of butter in here, which will make sure that it's nice and flaky. I have had my oven preheating to 400 degrees. So once I put this in here, I'm gonna pop it in the oven at 400 degrees for 15 minutes before we do one last step. So I have my crust, and in goes the filling. I don't want to leave any of this behind. And this is now going to go inside my 400 degree oven for 15 minutes before we do part 2. So the thing we do for part 2 is you're going to take 1 cup of sour cream and 1 egg yolk and mix them together. And we'll wait. All right, this has been baking for 15 minutes, and at this point is when we're gonna add the 1 egg yolk and the sour cream. And what you do is just put a few dollops right on top. trying to sort of space it as nicely and evenly as possible. And then what I do, and you can do this any way you want, but I use a chopstick, and you're literally just gonna sort of swirl this around. And this creates this sort of amazing, creamy, custardy top for the pie that just makes it amazing. Then this is gonna go back in the oven for between 25 to 30 minutes. I'll show you when it's done. And here we have the finished pie. This is absolutely delicious. You can't even believe the amazing Concord grape flavor that comes through, the little bit of the creaminess on top, and then the buttery pastry. This is a huge hit and a big crowd pleaser. Thank you so much for joining me today. As I said, I'll have the recipe down below. I hope you'll like the video, hit subscribe, and tap the notification bell for notifications on future videos. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will catch you next time.